Okay, I'm here today at the Chino Valley Agribusiness Campus to show you about some organic nutrients that I use, commercially prepared, that I purchase and use for our organic garden here on campus. Okay, here I have just a few organic products. I wanted to show you some of the commercially provided selections for you. For example, this is fish fertilizer. It's organic. It's ground up fish. And so it stinks a little bit, but it's a liquid. This formula, like I told you, 5-1-1, this is the relationship between nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And just so you understand these numbers, nitrogen is for green growth, a lot of your vegetative growth. The middle number is phosphorus, and that is for fruits, flowers. So a lot of your blooming type fertilizers would have a high middle number in comparison to the others. And potassium, the last number, is for strength and vigor. You guys are talking about doing a lot of soil-based growing. We do typically have a lot of potassium, this third number, in our soils, so you won't have to use a whole lot of potassium, but any crop or any crop that's been in for a while can deplete the soil, and so a good soil analysis is appropriate. So this is fish fertilizer. You can spray it on a liquid format. You could do that frequently to get more of an instant amount of nutrition in, even though organic does have to break down into its elemental form before it's taken up. So good option. A lot of different brands there, a lot of different varieties, and based on where the fish comes from will determine what your formulation is. Same thing with guanos. Bat guanos, seabird guanos, you'll see different formulations based on what it is they're eating. It's just a cycling of nutrients. Okay, here is a product, blood meal. So there's a lot of byproduct type organic fertilizers. So blood meal obviously would come from the byproduct of some kind of slaughter, some kind of animal industry product. Some people feel comfortable using these, some people don't. It is organic and it does provide a high level of nitrogen. It might be a little blurry for you guys, but this is 12-0-0. So 12% in the organic world is a pretty high nitrogen rate. So if you needed to really get some quick green growth going, or your soil was very deficient in nitrogen, which most of our soils are, you could use blood meal for an amendment. Now blood meal alone will just grow you a tall green plant, lacking fruit and flowers, because it's not a balanced fertilizer, but a lot of our soils contain this. And sometimes using animal manures over and over and over again, you build up the middle number, the phosphate number, and it gets almost too high and it starts making other nutrients unavailable. And so adding just a nitrogen product in addition to the manures is a good way to go too. So blood meal. And then sometimes for bulbs and plants that need a lot of flowering and heavy blooming, you could use bone meal. And bone meal is blood meal's counterpart. Bone meal would have a high level of the middle number. Usually in equal proportion. So a mixture of blood and bone meal would be, for instance, 12-12-0. Okay, here is an organic liquid product. This is Botanicare. I show you this product because this could be used in soil-based, or it could be used for hydroponics in water growing. Mycorrhizae are the symbiotic relationship with the roots. And so there's different strands of symbiotic root relationships. So if my fingers are the roots growing out into the soil, mycorrhizae would form a webbing all the way around my fingers, extending the reach of my hand into the soil. And so if I was the plant roots, the mycorrhizae just builds a healthy relationship with the soil. There's so many different kinds, there's so many different specializations in mycorrhizae. Good healthy soil has naturally occurring mycorrhizae, but a lot of times we're dealing with depleted soils, deserty soils, rocky soils that may not have mycorrhizae. So this one has a whole bunch of different strains in here. Here's all the different strains and how many propagules per gram are in each one. I'm not an expert on all of these, but I know there's a whole lot of them there, and I've done some experimentation on mycorrhizae, and it does make it easier for the plant to uptake water and uptake nutrients. And so this may be a good additive. And some complete mix organic fertilizers, such as the one I'll show you in just a moment, come with mycorrhizae already in the mix. So take a look behind me here. I have 4 bags of a product called Black Gold, and it's organic. Now this is fertilizer, it's not soil. Black Gold also makes a soil, and so I don't want to have confusion here. And so, for instance, this one they have labeled citrus, avocado, and vine. This one is all-purpose. Here you have starter and transplant fertilizer, and this is rose and flower. If I was to flip these over and look at the ingredients list, for instance, I'll look at the citrus, avocado, and vine. What this is made out of, derived from feather meal, bone meal, blood meal, alfalfa meal, sulfate of potash, and kelp meal. If I flip over all these other ones, they have very similar ingredients in them. It's just the proportions of those ingredients change the relationship of the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And so I told you what each one does. And so if you think about it, if you're fertilizing tree and vine crops, there's a lot of vegetative growth involved with those. So you have a high level of nitrogen in this formulation. When you think about this one that's all-purpose, gee, why is it all-purpose? Well, it works for everything because it's a good even balance 5-5-5. It's the ratio between these numbers to each other allows this to be good for all-purpose. Here's starter and transplant. You don't want to burn new starts, and so 3-2-3 gives a healthy start with growth and with strength and vigor, but you're not really too concerned with blooms and fruits yet. All right, here's a rose and flower. Okay, these have flowers. Heavy in the middle number, phosphorus, which is for blooming, fruiting, etc. So the proportions of the material that's in here is what's dictating what they're calling it. So if I wanted to grow some citrus trees, there's no reason I can't use this all-purpose. Okay, but this one's formulated better because it's higher in nitrogen. But in our garden situation here, the organic garden, we got a soil analysis, which I'll show you or have already shown you, and it showed we were very low in nitrogen. So I used the citrus, avocado, and vine fertilizer. It doesn't matter what picture is shown on the front. It matters what is labeled here. And a lot of times people go into a store, box store, or your local garden center looking for nutrients, and they're looking for the picture on the bag. The picture on the bag, some of the cheapest, best nutrients don't have a picture on the bag, and you're just not buying into that marketing and advertising because you know what the product is and you understand how it works. Okay, so utilizing nutrients such as these are a good place to go organically. A lot of the manures and stuff that we use would be your first line, but since they take a while to break down and provide additional nutrition, I started with these. And as if you're a new organic gardener, you might want to start with products like this. By no means are these the only ones. I got a kind donation here to the college, and so that's why we chose this variety. All right, thank you.